Welcome back to 24/7 English. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to speak English but you had nobody to practice with? No teacher, no class, no speaking partner. Does that mean you can never become fluent? Absolutely not. In fact, many successful English speakers started completely alone. Today, I will show you exactly how you can learn English alone and still become a confident speaker. And make sure you stay until the end, because in the final chapter, I will share a complete daily system that can completely change the way you learn English. Chapter 1. Why most people fail to learn English alone. Hello, my friends. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever said something like this? I cannot learn English alone. I need a teacher. I need a class. I need someone to practice with. If you have said this before, you are not alone. Millions of people around the world believe exactly the same thing. They think that without expensive courses, private teachers, or native speakers, learning English is impossible. But today, I want to tell you something very important. This idea is simply not true. You can absolutely learn English alone. In fact, many people have done it successfully. But there is one condition. You must use the correct method. Let me tell you about someone. Let's call her Maria. Maria was 28 years old and worked in a small office. Every year, she made the same promise to herself. She said, "This year, I will finally speak English confidently." So she bought grammar books. She memorized long vocabulary lists. She watched grammar lessons on YouTube. She completed exercise after exercise. She studied hard. 1 year passed. Then another year passed. Then another. After almost 4 years of studying, Maria knew thousands of English words. She understood many grammar rules. She could read articles and write emails. But one day, something happened that completely surprised her. A foreign customer visited her office. The customer smiled and asked, "Could you help me, please?" Maria understood every single word immediately. She knew exactly what the customer was asking. But suddenly, her heart started beating faster. Her mind became empty. She wanted to answer, but no words came out. After a few seconds of silence, she simply smiled nervously and said, "Sorry, my English is not very good." Later that evening, Maria felt disappointed. She asked herself, "Why can I understand English, but I cannot speak it?" Maybe you have asked yourself the same question. The answer is very simple. Maria spent years studying English, but she spent very little time using English. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that English learners make. There is a huge difference between studying English and using English. Studying English means reading grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, writing exercises, and watching lessons. All of these activities are useful. They help you build knowledge. But using English is completely different. Using English means speaking, thinking, expressing ideas, making mistakes, and communicating in real time. It means opening your mouth and actually using the language. Many learners spend years reading books and listening to lessons, but they rarely speak. They wait for the perfect moment. They tell themselves, "I will start speaking when my grammar becomes better." Others say, "I will start speaking when I know more vocabulary." Some people say, "I will begin speaking when I feel more confident." But here is the problem. That perfect moment never comes. If you continue waiting, you may still be waiting years from now. Imagine that you want to learn how to swim. You buy many books about swimming. You watch hundreds of videos. You learn all the rules and techniques. You understand everything about swimming, but you never enter the water. What will happen when you finally jump into the pool? Most likely you will struggle. Speaking English works exactly the same way. You cannot learn to speak only by studying. At some point, you must start speaking. Reading is important. Listening is important. Writing is important. But speaking is different. Speaking is a skill, and every skill becomes stronger through practice. I want you to understand something very important about your brain. Your brain learns languages through repetition and daily use. The brain loves patterns. When you use English every day, even for just a few minutes, your brain slowly begins to recognize these patterns. At first, everything feels difficult. You translate every sentence. You stop many times. You search for words. You make mistakes. This is completely normal. But when you repeat the same process every day, something amazing begins to happen. Slowly, your brain starts creating automatic connections. You no longer need to translate every sentence. Some words come naturally. Some expressions appear automatically. This does not happen because you are special. It happens because your brain is designed to learn through repeated use. Let me tell you about another learner. His name was Ahmed. Ahmed lived in a small town. There were no English schools near his home. He could not afford private lessons. He had no foreign friends. At first, he believed that learning English was impossible. But one day, he made a simple decision. He decided to use English every single day. Every morning, he spoke to himself for 5 minutes. He described his room. He talked about his plans. He explained what he was doing. At night, he watched short English videos and repeated what he heard. Sometimes he recorded his voice on his phone. At first, it was very difficult. He made many mistakes. Sometimes he forgot simple words. Sometimes he felt embarrassed, even though nobody was listening. But he continued. 1 month passed, then 3 months, then 6 months. Slowly, he noticed something surprising. Speaking became easier. His sentences became longer. His confidence grew. After 1 year, he joined an online conversation group for English learners. To his surprise, he could communicate. Not perfectly, but successfully. Today, Ahmed still makes mistakes, but he speaks English confidently. And do you know something interesting? He learned most of his English alone. Actually, many fluent English speakers around the world learned in exactly the same way. They did not attend expensive schools. They did not always have native-speaking teachers. Instead, they built simple daily habits. They listened every day. They spoke every day. They repeated every day. And slowly, fluency appeared. This is something many people do not realize. Fluency is not created in one day. It is built through small daily actions repeated over a long period of time. So, if learning alone is possible, why do so many people still fail? The answer is fear. Fear is often a bigger problem than grammar. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes. They want every sentence to be perfect. They want perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and perfect vocabulary before they begin speaking. But perfection is dangerous because perfection keeps you silent, and silence prevents improvement. Think about children learning their first language. Children make thousands of mistakes. They say words incorrectly. They use incorrect grammar, but they continue speaking. That is why they improve. Adults often do the opposite. They prepare, study, memorize, and wait. But they do not speak. And because they do not speak, they do not improve. So let me tell you something simple. You do not need perfect English to begin. You need to begin to improve your English. Start with simple sentences. Speak about simple topics. Use the words that you already know. Do not wait. Do not tell yourself, I will start next month. Start today. Even 1 minute of speaking is better than 0 minutes. Remember, fluency does not come from knowing everything. Fluency comes from using what you already know again and again. And now an important question appears. If learning English alone is truly possible, what should we actually do every day to improve? That is exactly what we are going to discover in the next chapter. Chapter 2. The Daily Habits That Build Fluent English. Now, in the previous chapter, we learned something very important. Learning English alone is absolutely possible. But another question immediately appears. What should we actually do every day? Many learners fail because they do not have a clear daily system. They study for 3 hours one day, then they do nothing for the next 7 days. They feel motivated for a short time, but soon they lose energy and stop completely. If this sounds familiar, do not worry. You are not alone. Many learners experience exactly the same problem. The truth is simple. Consistency is much more powerful than motivation. Motivation is wonderful, but motivation changes. Some days, you feel excited. You watch English videos, learn new words, and feel ready to conquer the world. But other days, you feel tired. You have work. You have family responsibilities. You feel stressed. On those days, motivation disappears. This is why successful English learners do not depend on motivation. They depend on habits. Habits continue even when motivation disappears. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not wake up every morning and ask yourself, do I feel motivated to brush my teeth today? No, you simply do it because it has become a habit. Learning English should become the same. Even if you practice for only 10 or 15 minutes every day, those small daily actions can completely transform your English over time. One of the most powerful habits for solo learners is something very simple. It is called self-talk. Self-talk means speaking English to yourself. Many learners think this sounds strange at first. They say, how can talking to myself improve my English? But self-talk is actually one of the most effective techniques you can use when you are learning alone. When you speak to yourself, you remove pressure. Nobody is judging you. Nobody is correcting you. Nobody is waiting for your answer. You are free to make mistakes. You are free to stop, think, and continue. Most importantly, you begin training your mouth to produce English naturally. So, how can you practice self-talk? The answer is very simple. Start using English during your daily activities. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you can say, I woke up at 7 o'clock. I feel a little sleepy today. I need to take a shower. Then I will eat breakfast. These are simple sentences, but they are extremely powerful because they connect English to your real life. You can also describe the objects around you. Look around your room right now. You might say, there is a desk near the window. My phone is on the table. I have 3 books on the shelf. The room is quiet today. Again, the sentences are simple, but simplicity is not a problem. Simple English used every day is far more useful than difficult English that you never use. Another excellent habit is talking about your plans. Before you begin your day, spend a few minutes explaining what you plan to do. You might say, "Today, I need to go to work. After work, I will buy some groceries. In the evening, I want to watch an English video and practice speaking." By doing this, you are not only practicing English, you are also training your brain to think directly in English. And this brings us to another important point. If you want to speak English fluently, you must gradually learn to think in English. Many learners translate everything from their native language. First, they create a sentence in their own language. Then they translate it into English. This process is slow and exhausting. It is one of the biggest reasons why learners struggle to speak fluently. At first, thinking directly in English may feel impossible, but remember, you do not need to think in perfect English. You only need to think in simple English. Instead of thinking complicated ideas, start with easy observations. For example, when you see rain outside, simply think, "It is raining." When you are hungry, think, "I am hungry. I want some tea." When you are tired, think, "I should go to bed early tonight." Slowly, your brain will begin using English more naturally. You will notice that some thoughts appear automatically in English without translation. This change does not happen overnight. It happens through repetition and daily practice. Another habit that can help you greatly is keeping a simple English diary. Many learners believe they need advanced grammar or beautiful writing skills to keep a diary. This is not true at all. Your diary can be very simple. Every evening, write 3 or 4 sentences about your day. For example, you might write, "Today was a busy day. I worked until 5 o'clock. After work, I watched an English lesson. I learned 5 new words today." That is enough. The goal is not perfect writing. The goal is to use English regularly. Over time, you will notice something interesting. Your sentences will become longer. You will use more vocabulary. Expressing ideas will become easier. Most importantly, English will slowly become part of your daily life. Listening is another habit that you should practice every day. Many people underestimate the power of listening, but listening trains your brain naturally. The more English you hear, the more familiar the language becomes. Your brain begins recognizing patterns, pronunciation, and sentence structures without conscious effort. You do not need difficult materials. In fact, beginners should avoid content that is too difficult. Choose easy podcasts designed for English learners. Watch simple YouTube videos. Listen to short stories. Watch videos with subtitles if necessary. The important thing is that you understand most of what you hear. Let me tell you about someone named Daniel. Daniel was 24 years old. He wanted to improve his English, but he had no teacher and no speaking partner. At first, he felt discouraged. He thought, "How can I improve if I am completely alone?" But one day, he decided to try something simple. Every morning before going to work, Daniel spoke English to himself for just 5 minutes. He talked about his plans. He described what he saw around him. In the evening, he wrote a few sentences in his English diary. He also listened to a short English podcast every night before sleeping. The first week felt uncomfortable. Daniel often stopped in the middle of sentences. Sometimes, he did not know what to say. Sometimes he switched back to his native language, but he continued. After 1 month, something surprising happened. Speaking became slightly easier. After 3 months, he could speak for several minutes without stopping frequently. His confidence increased. He still made mistakes, but he no longer feared them. And here is something very important. Daniel practiced for only 5 to 10 minutes every day. Many learners believe they need several hours every day to improve. This is simply not true. Even 10 minutes of daily speaking practice can produce dramatic improvement over several months. 10 minutes may not sound impressive, but remember this: 10 minutes every day equals more than 60 hours of speaking practice every year. That is a huge amount of practice. Small daily habits may seem insignificant in the beginning, but over time, they create extraordinary results. This is how fluency is built. Not through occasional motivation, but through consistent daily action. However, even after learners build strong daily habits, they still face one major challenge. They still struggle with speaking confidence. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next chapter. Chapter 3. How to practice speaking when you are completely alone. Now, in the previous chapter, we talked about daily habits that can help you improve your English. But many learners still have one big question. They ask, what should I do if I have nobody to speak with? Maybe you live in a small town. Maybe you cannot afford a teacher. Maybe you do not have friends who want to practice English. If this sounds like you, I want you to know something important. You can still become a good speaker. In fact, you can practice speaking every single day, even when you are completely alone. First, you need to understand something very important. Speaking is not only a mental skill, speaking is also a physical skill. Many learners believe that if they learn enough grammar and vocabulary, speaking will happen automatically. But this is not true. Speaking involves your brain and your body working together. Think about learning to play football. You can read books about football. You can watch hundreds of matches. You can learn every rule of the game. But if you never kick a ball, you will not become a good player. Speaking English is exactly the same. You must train your mouth, your tongue, and your lips. Your mouth is a muscle. Your tongue is a muscle. Your lips are muscles. When you speak English, these muscles move in ways that may be very different from your native language. Some sounds may feel strange. Some words may feel difficult to pronounce. This is completely normal. Your mouth simply needs practice. One of the best ways to train yourself is through voice recording practice. This method is simple, free, and extremely powerful. All you need is your phone. Every day, take your phone and record yourself speaking English for 5 minutes. You do not need to prepare a speech. You do not need perfect grammar. Simply talk about your life. You can talk about what you did today, how you feel, what you ate, or what you plan to do tomorrow. For example, you might say, "Today I woke up at 7 o'clock. I had breakfast with my family. Then I went to work. After work, I watched an English video. Tonight, I want to practice English for 30 minutes." These simple sentences are enough. At first, speaking for 5 minutes may feel impossible. You may stop many times. You may forget words. You may not know what to say. This is completely normal. Do not stop. Continue speaking, even if your sentences are simple. After you finish recording, listen to your recording carefully. Many learners avoid this step because they do not like hearing their own voices. But listening to yourself is one of the fastest ways to improve. When you listen, do not criticize yourself. Instead, become a curious observer. Ask yourself simple questions. Where did I stop? Which words did I repeat too often? Which sentences were difficult? Where was my pronunciation unclear? Your recording will show you exactly what you need to improve. Maybe you discover that you always stop when talking about the past. Perhaps you notice that you use the same words repeatedly. Maybe you realize that your pronunciation needs more practice. This information is extremely valuable because now you know what to work on. Another powerful technique that solo learners can use is shadowing. Many language experts consider shadowing one of the best methods for improving pronunciation and fluency. Shadowing is very simple. First, choose a short audio or video made for English learners. Listen to one sentence carefully, then pause the audio. Next, repeat the sentence aloud. Try to copy not only the words, but also the pronunciation, rhythm, speed, and intonation. The process is simple. Listen, pause, repeat, and copy. For example, if the speaker says, "I really enjoyed spending time with my family," you should repeat the sentence exactly as you hear it. Notice how the speaker stresses certain words. Notice how fast or slowly they speak. Notice how their voice rises and falls. Then try to imitate it. At first, shadowing may feel uncomfortable. You may feel that you sound strange. That is perfectly normal. Remember, children learn language by copying. We are simply doing the same thing. Shadowing works because it trains several skills at the same time. It trains your listening. It trains your pronunciation. It trains your speaking speed. Most importantly, it helps your mouth become familiar with natural English patterns. Many learners understand English very well, but they still speak slowly because their mouths are not accustomed to producing English sounds. Shadowing solves this problem by giving your mouth regular exercise. I want to tell you about someone named David. David was 26 years old. He understood a lot of English because he watched movies and YouTube videos every day. However, whenever he tried to speak, he became nervous. He spoke very slowly, and he often stopped in the middle of sentences. One day, David decided to record himself speaking for 5 minutes every evening. The first time he listened to his recording, he hated it. He thought his pronunciation sounded terrible. He noticed many mistakes. He felt embarrassed. In fact, he almost stopped after the first week. But instead of quitting, David made a simple decision. He told himself, "I will continue for 1 month." Every day, he recorded himself. Every day, he listened. Every day, he practiced shadowing for 15 minutes. Slowly, something changed. After 2 weeks, he noticed fewer pauses. After 1 month, his pronunciation became clearer. After 2 months, he could speak more smoothly and confidently. The interesting thing is that David did not become perfect. He still made mistakes, but he was no longer afraid of speaking. And this is something very important for you to remember. Mistakes are not signs of failure. Mistakes are signs of progress. When you make mistakes, it means you are using the language. It means you are practicing. It means you are learning. The only real mistake is staying silent. In fact, many learners improve surprisingly quickly once they begin hearing themselves speak regularly. Recording yourself allows you to see your progress clearly. You begin to notice small improvements that would otherwise remain invisible. Your pauses become shorter. Your pronunciation becomes clearer. Your confidence grows. Remember, you do not need a teacher standing beside you every day. You can become your own teacher. Record yourself. Listen to yourself. Shadow native speakers. Practice consistently. If you do this every day, your speaking will improve. And now that you know how to practice speaking completely alone, it is time to bring everything together. In the final chapter, we will build one complete system that you can follow every day to transform your English step by step. Chapter 4. The Complete 30-Day English Learning Alone System. Now we have reached the final chapter. Throughout this video, we have learned many important things. First, we learned that learning English alone is absolutely possible. You do not need expensive courses, private teachers, or native-speaking friends to become fluent. Second, we learned that daily habits create success. Small actions repeated every day are much more powerful than studying for many hours once in a while. Third, we learned that speaking practice is essential. Reading and listening are helpful, but if you want to speak English, you must actually speak. Finally, we learned something very important. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are part of the learning process. Every mistake teaches you something new. Now, I want to give you something practical. I want to give you a complete 30-day system that you can start today. This plan is simple. It does not require special equipment. It does not require much money. Most importantly, it is designed for people who are learning completely alone. Let us begin with the first 10 days. During days 1 to 10, your main goal is very simple. You are building the habit of using English every single day. Every morning, spend at least 5 to 10 minutes speaking English to yourself. This is your self-talk practice. Talk about your morning. Talk about your feelings. Talk about your plans for the day. For example, you can say, "Today I need to go to work. After work, I want to practice English. In the evening, I will watch a movie." Keep your sentences simple. Remember, simple English used every day is extremely powerful. During these first 10 days, you should also start thinking in English. Throughout the day, describe things around you in your mind. When you see your phone, think, "My phone is on the table." When you drink tea, think, "This tea is very hot." These simple thoughts train your brain to stop translating. You should also include short listening sessions every day. Spend 10 or 15 minutes listening to easy English content. Choose videos, podcasts, or stories that you can mostly understand. Do not choose material that is too difficult. The goal is not to understand every word. The goal is to expose your brain to English regularly. Finally, every night before sleeping, record yourself speaking for 1 minute. Talk about what happened during your day. You can answer simple questions such as, "What did I do today?" or "What made me happy today?" Then listen to your recording. Do not judge yourself. Simply observe. The first 10 days may feel uncomfortable. You may forget words. You may stop frequently. Sometimes you may feel that you are making no progress at all. This is completely normal. Continue anyway. Now let us move to days 11 to 20. During this period, you will continue all your previous habits. Continue your daily self-talk. Continue thinking in English. Continue listening every day. Continue recording yourself. But now, you will add something new. Shadowing. Every day, spend 15 to 20 minutes practicing shadowing. Choose a short English video or podcast. Listen to one sentence. Pause the audio. Repeat the sentence aloud. Try to copy the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, speed, and intonation. At first, this exercise may feel strange. You may feel embarrassed. But remember, this exercise trains your ears and your mouth together. Over time, your pronunciation will become clearer, and your speaking will become more natural. Another important change during days 11 to 20 is vocabulary learning. Instead of memorizing single words, begin learning phrases. For example, instead of learning only the word decision, learn the phrase make a decision. Instead of learning only mistake, learn make a mistake. Native speakers often use language in phrases, not isolated words. Learning phrases will help you speak more naturally and more quickly. Continue listening to easy English content every day. Listen while walking, exercising, or doing housework. The more English you hear, the more familiar it becomes. Now we arrive at the final stage, days 21 to 30. During these final 10 days, continue all your previous habits. Continue your self-talk. Continue shadowing. Continue listening. Continue thinking in English. Continue learning phrases. But now, begin recording longer speaking sessions. Instead of speaking for only 1 minute, try speaking for 3, 5, or even 10 minutes. Talk about your opinions, your dreams, your experiences, or topics that interest you. If possible, this is also a good time to join online English communities or language exchange applications. You do not need to speak with native speakers. Speaking with other learners is also extremely valuable. Even short conversations can build confidence. Ask simple questions. Talk about daily life. Discuss hobbies, work, family, or future plans. Do not try to impress anyone. Simply communicate. You will make mistakes. Everyone does. That is completely normal. Now, I want to talk honestly about something important. During these 30 days, you will experience many emotions. Some days, you will feel excited. You will notice improvement and you will feel proud of yourself. But other days will be difficult. There will be days when you feel frustrated. You may forget simple words. You may feel that your pronunciation is terrible. You may compare yourself to other learners and think, my English is not improving. There will also be days when you do not feel motivated. You may feel tired after work or school. You may want to skip your practice. This is normal. Every successful language learner experiences these feelings. The important thing is not how you feel on a particular day. The important thing is whether you continue. Remember, progress in language learning is gradual. Improvement rarely happens suddenly. Most of the time, progress is invisible. You improve little by little, day after day. Think about going to the gym. If you exercise today, you will not wake up tomorrow looking completely different. But if you exercise consistently for 6 months, the results become obvious. English works the same way. Some days, your only achievement may be speaking one sentence. That is okay. One sentence is still progress. Do not quit because one day feels difficult. Many learners fail not because they are incapable, but because they stop too soon. So, when you feel frustrated, remember why you started. Remember that every fluent speaker was once a beginner. Every confident speaker once struggled to say simple sentences. And finally, I want to leave you with one important message. You do not need perfect English to begin. You need to begin in order to improve. Do not wait for the perfect vocabulary. Do not wait for perfect grammar. Do not wait until you feel confident. Confidence comes after action, not before. Start with one sentence, then speak another sentence tomorrow. Continue day after day, and slowly, English will become part of your life. One day, you will look back and realize something amazing. The English that once seemed impossible has become natural, and it all started with one simple decision: the decision to begin. If you enjoyed this video and learned something useful, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below telling me one habit you will start today. Remember, your English journey does not begin tomorrow. It begins today, with one simple sentence. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.